Keeping your prices reasonable in powder coating is important to stay competitive, but restoration is labor intensive and time consuming. How do you manage both? Using an efficient method of chemical stripping can help keep those costs down. In this month-long product focus on stripping, we sit down with the president of Benco Sales, Miss B17 herself, Valeri Lennon. Valeri is committed to bringing you quality, as well as preserving small businesses' availability and access to her line of efficient and effective products. She shares everything you need to know about how to get started stripping, using her methylene chloride-based products. We talk safety, best practices, as well as some of the new less toxic stripping products. Let's get ready to level up your powder coater game. Welcome to episode 9. I'm Kim Scott, your host of the Powder Coater podcast, where we interview influencers and cover trending topics in the industry so powder coaters can effectively learn and grow their business. Today's episode was inspired by a shout out to Brian Moreland. He's been following our podcast since day one, and he loves the show. And he wrote to us a few weeks ago and wanted to know if we would consider interviewing someone with stripping. And so his email went, I would consider myself a semi-pro barn coater, LOL. I'm wanting to move up into powder coating bigger things. And I've been doing roll cages, buggy frames, wheels, etc. I was curious if you guys would be interested in having a show based on stripping and stripping chemicals. What chemicals work best? How effective are they on different materials? And how long do you leave them submerged? And where do you buy them? And what companies do you recommend? Thanks, Brian. And to introduce today's guest, we have an American-made product, high-quality control, proven effectiveness, no costly shipping. And today we're introducing Valeri Lennon, President and COO of Benco, B17. Hi, Valeri. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for that long-winded introduction. Sorry about that, but I wanted to give a shout out to Brian for the inspiration. So how long have you been working in the industry?
I've been with Benco for a little over 8 years now. I moved to, we're in Tennessee, and I moved here when the previous owner, who had been in business for 40 years, decided to retire. And a partner and myself purchased Benco from him, and it's been an amazing adventure. It's a great company.
It sounds like it. I will admit that we are Benco users ourselves, B17, and I think we started purchasing the product about 3 years ago. But what do you do there? What's the day-to-day for you there?
Oh, well, all aspects of the business. We have, I manage the manufacturing. You know, the plant manager reports to me. I work on new business, new marketing, new ideas, and new products. When we deal with new products, the previous owner usually comes in, since he was a chemical engineer, and he likes to keep involved because he misses it terribly.
Yeah.
But there's all things. There's all kinds of things. And then Benco also has their own fleet of trucks that travel the United States to deliver product. So we ship common carrier, and we have our own trucks. And that becomes a little bit of it's a wonderful benefit, because our customers get to know our truck drivers, invite them in for lunch. It's really personal. But in this industry, in this world today, truck drivers are hard to come by. So unfortunately, it does create a little bit of a hiccup in shipping at times. When we're only down to 2 drivers or something like that. But otherwise, it's a busy day at Benco.
I bet. Now, you also have, I'm not sure of the relationship there, but there's another company called Bestway. How are the two interrelated, or are they related at all?
Well, they were interrelated a number of years ago in that my business partner owned Bestway, and together we put Benco together with Bestway and essentially merged. Bestway had furniture stripping products, and Bestway is really now a branded product within Benco. They were a smaller size company in comparison to Benco, and so we make and service the Bestway customers.
So there are other, I'm going to say this wrong, methylene chloride, right? Is that how you say it?
Yes, we have methylene chloride based products as well as non-methylene chloride products. We have methylene chloride based products have been leading in the industry for so many years due to the fact that it's the most cost effective way to strip. And it's so quick that you're minimizing your exposure to your chemical. As long as you have your safe practices in place, it's a very advantageous product to go with. And it's blended, of course, with other things. It's not just straight methylene chloride.
Right. Now, but there are other methylene chloride companies out there that sell this base products with this chemical. But what makes B17 so popular or so much better? Because
it's the most cost-effective and time-efficient product that's out there. It's blended. It has a lovely blend of acids that helps permeate that coating in order for the B17 to get to the substrate to delaminate the powder coat from it. You will notice when you use B17, you have sheets of powder coat that come off. It's because it's been delaminated, essentially. It doesn't eat away at the powder. And because it doesn't eat away at the powder, you don't lose your strength in your stripper. You will lose some stripper due to evaporation, depending on heat in the area, the ambient heat. Of course, in Hawaii, I'm sure that you notice a little bit more evaporation than somebody would in Wisconsin.
Right.
But as long as you keep it covered and manage it properly, you won't have a lot. We do have also some ingredients to help minimize that evaporation and hinder it from going so quickly. But you will find that it is the fastest and most effective. And then all you have to do is top it off. It's very infrequent that you would have a costly additive or anything like that to our B17.
So on your website, you say that B17 is, you give 3 reasons why it's safer than other strippers, and I'll just name them here. Because it's fast acting, you have less exposure. I think you covered that already. And because it works without having to scrub, which means you're not interacting with it hands-on where you don't have to.
Correct.
And because it's completely neutralized with water, there's less chemicals involved. So are those some of the additives that you put in there that is what interacts with the water? How does it neutralize?
Well, okay. All right. Let's see here. How to explain this? When you use B17, we recommend, it's imperative that you have a water bath process. You lower your wheel or your item you're going to strip into the B17. You wait for it to delaminate. You take it out of the B17, allow all the excess to drop back into the B17 tank, and then you move your item to a water bath tank. The purpose of the water bath tank is to neutralize any acids that were left in the nooks and crannies and to trap any trace chemicals. And that water will do its best when it's at a neutral pH between 8 and 10. Once you've put it through the water bath, it's like a 30-minute thing. It's not like you have to leave it in there for an hour. Then you can take it out and you can rinse it because it will be chemical free. And once dry, you can repowder. And so it's a pretty quick, from beginning to end, it's a pretty quick turnaround, which is especially great for the smaller customers that need to have quick turnaround in order to push business out.
Yeah, it was. I must admit, my husband was going. Definitely was one of those people, and I'm sure you've heard this before, where once they got it and they started utilizing it or using it for stripping, it was like, why did we wait this long? It was. I guess we should have probably invested in, in it a lot longer than, because we had been struggling. We'd been buying stripper at Home Depot or Lowe's or wherever we could get it. Of course, being on an island, if somebody comes in and beats you to that shelf, then you're really out of luck, as in you're waiting another week or two before it gets restocked. So it has really been a godsend for our business and has allowed us to keep our prices reasonable, especially with rim stripping and powder coating. So it's definitely helped our business tremendously, and I totally recommend the product in that sense. Now
I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah, it's good. So recently, the EPA, we got a notice from you guys, I think late last year, where we had to sign a document because recently the EPA banned the use of methylene chloride, the active ingredient in many paint strippers, from retail stores. If you are a professional with a business ID, you can buy your product. Has this hurt your sales in any way?
No, it has not. And let me give you a little bit of the background with the EPA. I was involved in all the panel discussions as well as the previous owner, the chemical engineer. And the whole reason the EPA went this route is there were too many people. There were a few people, I shouldn't say too many. There were a few people that purchased over-the-counter methylene chloride-based products from retail stores, but they did not read the label nor heed any safety warning, and may have locked themselves in a room to strip something, and they were overcome by the fumes, which is similar to somebody closing their garage door and letting their car run. It's
right.
You can't do that. You need good ventilation. So with that said, they took it out of the retail market, and because businesses typically have OSHA standards in place and practice safe stripping methods, and because it's so important in the industrial world to have that efficiency, that's why we can sell it as a business to business.
Right. And so basically, how does I guess you just need to show a business ID. Of course, we were already buying, right. So I think you already had that information. What exactly does a business need to provide you guys? What are they looking for?
Well, what we need to have, and it may never be looked at, we don't know, but what we do is we need to prove it we're selling to a business. And so a federal ID number is always the easiest thing to do. Federal ID number, a sales tax number, anything that proves that you're in a registered business.
And that's it. And so, so for powder coaters that don't meet these minimum requirements, is there another product that they can buy, or are they just stuck with going to Home Depot every time?
Well, no, and going to Home Depot, they won't find a powder coat stripper that works.
Right.
We have two products. We have our B96, which is a cold product. But it's going to take a while. You might leave something in overnight, or it might take 3 hours. And then we have our new B17 Eco Strip, which is a product that you need to heat. It only needs to heat to 185 degrees. And we have some customers that have been using it in Chicago, and they found that they're getting an hour and a half strip times on Durango wheels, Porsche wheels, all the wheels that have been pretty stubborn. But they've been getting really fast strip times. So a lot of people really like it. Of course, you have to be able to have a heated tank, or we have heated tanks we've developed that work really nicely. And So for the people just starting out, they can do that. Or I have a starter kit, which is a drum with a drum heater, and they can get the whole package shipped to them with a drum of the EcoStrip and the drum with the drum heater, so that they can strip that way on a small scale.
And how big is that drum?
It's a 55-gallon drum. It's a 55-gallon metal drum with a drum heater. And then we also supply the 55 gallons of the EcoStrip product. And in that package comes some safety gear, the rubber apron, disposable face mask, some gloves, and then also a siphon pump to transfer the liquid from the poly drum that it comes in to the metal drum where you heat. You fill it halfway so that you've got room for disbursement, and then you save the other stripper in your poly drum for future use.
Well, that's really nice, because I'll tell you, I'm tired of hearing my husband looking at his arms getting burned and stuff. And sometimes I think he's just immune to it now at this point, because he's been stripping for so long. And we stripped in our other business. We used to have a refinishing business, and so we were used to already stripping or using chemical for stripping and stuff. So I think he's just become immune to it. But it's nice to know that there's an eco-friendly. And but what's the startup price on this initial package? Do you have a starting price?
Yes, I do. I have a special on the EcoStrip startup kit. It's $16.99.
Wow, and that's with delivery? Wow, that's a great idea.
No, that does not. It doesn't include delivery. If you get it delivered on our truck, it's only $50.
Oh, okay.
And typically and we do freight quotes for people. And typically on these starter kits, I split the shipping if it has to get skidded and put on common carrier. So
that's nice. I think that's actually pretty reasonable, especially if you're just a single guy out there doing something, using that. You can use the EcoStrip at home. There's a lot of home coaters, people working out of their garage or their barns. And I think that's a great, relatively inexpensive way to get started and start saving time and effort.
Yes, I've been really excited about this new product, because we've had customers, large and small, that have switched from another competitor's product that was a heated product, and they said they love it because they're getting faster strip times. It's less than half the cost, and their sludge buildup is minimal. The EcoStrip just becomes a little murky, and after you strip for quite a long time, all you have to do is let it cool, and then pull the EcoStrip chemical off the top with a pump of some sort, and then you have a little sludge at the bottom, and all you have to do is evaporate that, and it becomes inert.
Great. And no more burns, right? No more.
No burns. But let's go back to the burns. I understand that B17 is, I understand that it is an extremely aggressive product, and it's an important product in certain businesses because of the speed. But safety gear is extraordinarily important. A lot of people find, let me back up. I've had customers that had a 3,000 gallon tank of B17, and they stripped over 5,000 wheels a week with a conveyor system. Nobody came in contact with the B17, and they had no burns. And then there are other people that have hoists, a gantry system with a hoist, and they lower it down and they bring it up, and the burns are very infrequent. But then I hear about people getting burned all the time, and I keep asking them, are you wearing your safety gear? Do you have your gloves and your apron? So it's a great product, but it's not real user friendly. I will admit that, but you just have to be cautious.
Right. And I think it's all about perception too. I mean, I've not heard any kind of negative, feedback. And I think that if I did, I'd pretty much just blame it on the user, because, you're putting the product out there, but you're also being very straightforward about the kind of best practices that you need to do that. You actually have a page on your website called Best Practices. So I think that a lot of, if you do get any negative feedback, it's just because people are being, I don't know, stupid.
Well, and not even that. It's the person that says, "Oh, I just have this little thing to strip, and I'm in a hurry, and since it's a little thing, it'll be fine." And the minute they go to put it in there, they drop it, and it flashes back up on them because they were in a hurry and they didn't stop to put their face gear or their covering on. It's sometimes it's just as simple as that. So you just can't let your guard down. It's just use safe practices. Period.
Exactly. Do you sell, now you sell it by the barrel and you sell it by 5-gallon containers. That's the only 2 sizes, correct?
No, I sell B17 and the EcoStrip in 275-gallon totes as well.
Oh, okay. That's good to know. Okay. I didn't know that. We're kind of unique out here in Hawaii, and when I was cost comparing the barrel to the 5-gallon, I didn't know about these totes. I somehow didn't even consider that, I guess. But we actually opted for the 5-gallon because it was palatable, and we could actually, we couldn't really get around the shipping. I mean, shipping is just shipping here in Hawaii. And so we actually opted for, I think we bought like 30 or 40 5-gallons. And they
typically pallet is 32.
Yeah, 32. Yeah. And they palleted, wrapped it. It didn't get damaged in shipping. It was perfectly. And I think that says a lot about your company too, is the way that you make sure that everything was wrapped. Because I mean, I tell you, I order a lot of stuff from the mainland, whether it's metal equipment or anything, and some of the stuff that just comes here, people, it just gets damaged in shipping. And I was so worried about this product coming here because of what it was. And it just came so quickly. It was still all the wrapping and shipping was intact. Not disturbed at all. Nothing had spilled. Nothing was broken. Nothing was punctured. It was just awesome. And it was a big relief because I didn't want any of the shippers getting hurt or anybody in between all of that, like what's this product and who's this company and everything like that, So I was really excited that you guys took the time to wrap it just right.
Well, safety is key for us. Safety is a key. We try to coach our customers, and I want all my employees to be safe. It's we want good things to happen for everybody. And if they're buying B17, it's going to help them make money, but it's all about keeping safe before it even begins.
Yeah, and I think that's a really valuable core thing that you just said, because I think that maybe if the buyer knew how much safety and attention to detail that you guys do, they probably would take better care of themselves as well. It just kind of
I would hope so.
Bleeds into itself. So it's good that we're talking about this, because I don't think a lot of users maybe that get burns more frequently, if they knew how important it was from, how serious you take that. And there's, the user's safety and well-being, maybe they would probably pay a little bit more attention to safety. So, but let's continue on with best practices. Oh, go ahead. Yes.
Oh, good. Well, in fact, I was going to talk about that. I was going to say another important thing to consider when you're using B17 is you must have proper ventilation.
Yeah.
Is that where you're going next?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Setup and proper ventilation.
Yes. We like to tell people to, the methylene chloride vapors are heavy, and you will lose some as your powder coat, your stripping is going on. You will lose some. And sometimes it'll float over the top of your strip tank and down to the ground. That is where your vapors are. So you want to think of silt in water. You want to gently roll them out of your workspace and preferably into the fresh air because they just vaporize and become inert. And just roll them out. If you overfan them, then you're putting them up into your breathing space, and you don't want to do that.
So are you recommending some kind of overhead vent, ventilation? I mean, if you are working in a small space, then I would say the main thing is that you have some sort of fan or vent right over your area there. Or if you're working in an open space, just make enough room to do all of this work, like have a special section in your shop area where that's all you're doing.
Yes, and actually, because your vapors are rolling to the ground, it's as simple as putting a box fan at about knee height to roll the vapors out of your work area. Because sometimes if you overventilate, think of silt and water. You want them to roll out of the way. You don't want them to become, get forced up into your breathing area by overventilating them. So just a simple box fan on low helps move them out.
Okay, that's good to know. I'll get my husband on that because I don't think we have that set up just yet. Our place is kind of bigger, so we just kind of let the vapors do their thing when he pulls it out. But I think something simple like that would be ideal.
Yes, too many people think they need to suck it up into an overhead ceiling fan or an overhead ceiling exhaust, but you're pulling the vapors up through your breathing area. So that's not necessarily the smartest way to do it.
Yeah, and we just bought something from Grainger. I was going to look online. He wanted this product. It's called a spill pallet. We bought it from Grainger. I'm not sure if you sell them. It's back ordered, so I can't even get it here until probably the end of the year. But are you recommending something like that if you have the strip container, the round barrel one?
You said a spill pallet?
Yeah, it's called a spill pallet. This one is 53 by 50. It's just a giant square.
Oh,
and
I see it. Okay, I just looked it up.
Yeah.
I Googled it. I see what you're saying. That would be something that would be a good thing to put underneath your strip tank, especially if you're in an area where there's where you don't have concrete or some of the industrial areas, they'll have a concrete floor and they'll have a moat around their strip tank, or a border around their strip tank, so that if there is a spill, it doesn't go any further than a small confined area. So that actually is a very good idea. And in our B17 starter kit, we sell the overpack drum with that, which is the same concept, high density polyethylene. It's the big yellow 95-gallon overpack drum where we sell a starter kit with that, a drum of B17, and then all the safety gear for just under $1,000.
Yeah, that's I didn't know you sold the whole kit there. Maybe is that something new, or have you always had that? Because I remember kind of considering a metal strip tank, buying one of those from you and having it shipped, but I thought the shipping was going to just be outrageous if I did that. So we opted for the plastic container.
Okay. No, we just started that, and actually you'll see that promo on our website probably tomorrow. We ran it a while back, and it was very popular, and I think it's a really good way for people to get started.
Yeah, I think it is too. And I think everybody should be, if they're complaining about getting jobs done on time, maybe they've got too many jobs and they can't get them done fast enough, or sandblasting isn't just cutting it. You need something much more than that, especially when you're doing wheels. I mean, this is definitely, it was a game changer for us. But let's continue on. So, like, what substrates or types of metal can you use with B17? Any of them? All of them? None of them? What do you have?
B17 works really well on, if we're talking wheels, steel, aluminum. The only thing that it's a little bit too aggressive for is if you have a lot of magnesium or softer metals coming through. Magnesium, you need to back down to our B14. But most wheel refinishers are doing aluminum alloy wheels, heavy duty, and B17 is the way to go.
Yeah,
you need to babysit it. Oh, okay.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
I was going to say, when you first start using B17, you need to kind of babysit it and check every 3 to 5 minutes until you understand how quickly things go, so that you don't have any mishaps. B17 will etch your substrate slightly, but a lot of people love that for readhesion. But if you leave something in your B17 overnight, it'll look like Swiss cheese in the morning. So that's why I say you've got to kind of babysit it so you understand it for a while. And then once you get to understand it and you've been using it for a while, you know, you can say, well, this wheel's probably going to take 20 minutes to 40 minutes. And then you know to check it. Correct? I mean, I assume that's what you guys do.
Exactly. And he's, I don't know. I mean, he's done enough stripping now where I know he knows how long it takes he doesn't even have to go back and check it now. He just puts it on a timer and then, you know, he's that confident with it. And I think it just takes a little bit of time. There's probably a little bit of a learning curve there. But I agree with you. You know, you just have to learn your product and learn your business, you know, using this product. You know, this this next question, you know, was kind of an interesting one because I guess because we live in the tropics, my husband never really got heating band for so we actually don't even use the heat band, but I guess we're in the tropics, so maybe it's not as critical as maybe someone that lives in a colder climate. Can you go over that?
Yes. We do not recommend any heating on B17 because if you heat B17 over the point of 104 degrees, 104, then you release those methylene chloride vapors and you're going to upset that wonderful blend that strips so quickly and efficiently.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yes, I mean, the EcoStrip needs to be heated because it strips at 180. But okay, B17 does not. Now, the colder climates, some people find that their B17 slows down. That's normal because the chemicals start to get a little cooler. So they can heat it to like 80, but never recommend over that. And most people just, you know, it might double their strip time, but they don't mess with heating it.
Sounds good. I'm glad I don't have to worry about that kind of stuff, but I think we've talked about containers. Were there any other things that we wanted to cover with on containers? Just that you sell them now.
We do sell them, but I mean, a lot of people that are in this industry can fabricate like easily. And if that's the case, I welcome a phone call and I will help you design your tank. It needs to be heavy gauge steel and heavy duty welds and other things. And I have examples of photographs that I can show them to help them with their tank. And then because everybody's business and workflow is so different, they may think of something totally different than what we've made that's much more efficient for them. So, you know, everybody's in this business, I find, is so creative and they understand their workflow and what they need. So I'm happy to work with them in any way I can to help them achieve what they need to make a better business.
That's great. It's nice to know that when you're buying a product that you're getting that it's not a guarantee, but just like that camaraderie or relationship that you're going to help them get started or established or help them solve their problems when it comes to stripping and chemicals and stuff. That's awesome. Because I never really would have thought of doing that. You know, like I guess Ross would just be, I don't know, Googling it somewhere else. Who knows? But it's nice to know we can just pick up the phone call and call you guys.
Yes, please. When you buy from Benco, you're entering a relationship. We're all in this together.
Yeah, and you're certainly right about the creativity of custom coaters. Hands down, they are probably the most industrialist people I have met in terms of problem solving. So talking
absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, I learn new things every day from my customers.
Yeah. So let's go over maintenance on the product. And maybe there's a difference between what you do with B17 and B17E on some of your other products. But first and foremost, how do you remove the sludge? What's the best actions to take when you're doing that part?
All right. Well, as far as removing sludge, don't bother removing it until it starts to get in your way, because you don't want to aerate your product in order to encourage evaporation. Everybody has a different way they like to do it. I've built some prototypes of, kind of a shovel looking thing that's perforated so that you can pull your sludge up. Everybody has a different way they like to do it, but typically it's some kind of a screen. And hopefully soon I will have something I can sell that will help. But even a perforated shovel to pull up the sludge, allow all the liquid to fall back into your tank. And then you take that sludge and you can put it on a piece of plywood. You can put it out in the sun and cook it until it totally dries. And a lot of people, to be extra cautious, they'll take that dry sludge, pop it in their oven and make sure it's crispy. Because once you do that, all the chemicals have evaporated and you will not be creating any problems by disposing it in a dumpster at that point in time. And to take extra measure, you can put some baking soda in it, mix it with some bentonite or some potash, whatever you have, and then it's safe. As far as maintaining the B17 itself, that's the sludge, that's all you have to do. You do have to maintain your water bath or prepare your water bath. You can use it over and over again until it gets too dirty to stand. But you just want to make certain you can take a cheap swimming pool tester, check the pH, make sure the pH is between 8 and 10 for your best results, because you don't want any acid left on there to try to repowder, because you won't get your best results. You can manage the pH with, depending on the size of your water tank, with baking soda, or we sell caustic liquid. If you have a huge water tank, caustic liquid is really economical. Everybody does something different. Some people like to use TSP, and that works as well.
They're putting that in the water bath to neutralize.
Yes, you put that in the water bath to keep the pH between 8 and 10.
Oh, okay. Now, one of the other things that I see my husband do, I'm not sure if it's recommended or what, but he doesn't fill it all the way to the top. He kind of leaves it more like about a third of the way up the tank. I mean, he's only just enough to where it can submerge and cover that rim. But he, because obviously when you put something in, the volume of the water, of the liquid goes up. So
right.
I would guess that you're recommending that people don't fill it all the way up to the top.
Correct. We're talking about the B17 tank, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes, because you have to plan for displacement. And a lot of times I recommend that they take their tank that they're going to use and they put their normal size product, typically it's a wheel, you put a wheel in there and then fill it with 17 just to top off. So you're just a little bit over the top of that wheel. And that would be your maximum fill that you need in order to strip. And then, once they pull the wheel out, they'll see where that level is, because it's best to have your level no higher than 12 inches from the top of the tank because of that vaporization of the methylene chloride. Once you pull your wheel out, and the vapors will go back into the liquid and it'll be maintained in there.
Yeah, that's
Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Yeah, it made sense to me. And, I mean, a lot of people who are just considering maybe even buying B17, these are some of the points that we need to cover so that when they do get it, they're not, they understand exactly what they need to do. So this is great.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk safety gear. You have on your website a page just for this. And I know it sounds like a lot of what is on this list is actually included in that kit or that starter kit that we were talking about earlier, correct?
Yes, it is. We recommend heavy duty rubber gloves over 30 mils. We have 30, I believe we have 35 and 50 mil gloves. And then on the starter kit, we supplied the rubber apron. And that's great because it goes down below the knees, typically, unless, of course, you're, 7 feet tall. And then, it's a matter of covering your skin. Then it comes with a face shield. Face shields have been hard to come by. We used to have some really nice face shields with our kits, but since COVID, we've had to go to what we could get. So I apologize if the face shields are a disappointment. Hopefully we'll get back to our normal one. We always include in that kit a calcium gluconate tube, which is a salve for acid burns. So if it splashes on you for some reason and misses your glove and hits your skin, rinse it with water real quick, and then you put the calcium gluconate on, and that helps neutralize any acids that are on your skin to minimize that burn.
Oh, that's good because do you sell that separately? I think we could order some of that today. Yeah, okay.
All right.
We've used, I know that in terms of what we've used in afterburns or whatever is like the silver cream. It's like a hand cream that has silver nitrate in it, I guess. And it helps I don't know if I'm saying nitrate right, but it does have silver in it. So that actually helps heal the skin. I ended up with a second degree burn on my hand many years ago, not from stripping, of course. I was pouring hot water. It was one of those kitchen disasters. And I'll tell you, it was one of the worst burns it was one of the worst things that had ever happened to me. And I've been lucky enough not to be in any car accidents or anything like that. But I'll tell you, getting a third degree burn on your hand is just not, it's the worst, one of the worst things that can happen. So, I mean,
very painful.
And they put some kind of a silver salve at the clinic on my hand, and that really helped too. So it's nice that you're, having all this available to people that they can come back and order over and over again. On the gloves, I remember ordering gloves for Ross, and there were two kinds, right? There was one that was thicker, but then something I remember her talking about which one I wanted. And one actually, if you get it near a razor, if it cuts really easily. There's two kinds of gloves, right? One does one thing and one does the other, right?
Right. If the ones that cut easily, those are the ones that are meant for the furniture strippers that need to have more pliability in their fingers.
Right. Okay.
And then the other ones, the 50 mils, are electrical lineman gloves. And they that didn't quite meet spec for the electrical lineman. And we were able to get some, and that's why we offer them at such a great price. We do quality check them here. We blow air them, make sure there's no holes.
Yeah, makes sense. And what sizes do the gloves come in?
Some of them come in size, 10, 11, 12, and some just come in small, medium, and or large. It just depends on which glove you go with.
It's just men's sizes. Are there women's sizes too, or just men's?
It's kind of a universal size. I have small hands, and I use the 9 in the big heavy duty gloves, and they do pretty well for me. I do recommend if you can put your item on a hoist or a hook or something like that, so you don't have to come in contact with it until after your water bath. That is the safest thing to do.
Okay. And in terms of like, I mean, I would assume if you're in a job shop, hopefully you're wearing at least tennis shoes, not slippers or anything like that.
Yes.
Or flip flops or whatever mainland people call slippers. We call them slippers here. But anyways, yeah, I mean, I would assume steel-toed boots or some kind of, heavy-duty work boot or protection on your feet in case something does. I mean, that seems like the more likely that a drip would happen and it would land right on top of your foot.
Absolutely. And that is, I mean, that kind of goes back to safe practices. If you're going to be in a shop, you should have steel-toed boots. You should have heavy-duty boots on, not necessarily tennies or flip-flops, or what do you call them, flippers?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
A big controversy here in Hawaii with slippers versus flip-flops. And it's good to know that you're on all these boards and that you're really paying attention to your business and like that you're involved in that part of the community,
Well, yes, there's so much misinformation. There's so much misinformation about methylene chloride based strippers. And then the other thing that I didn't touch on that probably should have is so many people think that methylene chloride based strippers are carcinogenic, and methylene chloride is not a carcinogen. It's been tested and tested. Kodak did a 20-year study on their employees that were exposed to far more vapors than what our stripper would expose you to for 20 years, and there was no increase of cancer.
I guess that's kind of been the thing for us is when we have our employees. Ross has always been the one to kind of manage the stripping part of the job, just because he does want to limit his access to the employees. Mm-hmm. How do you have any insights or tips on that in terms of allowing employees or just maybe designating one person to be in charge of stripping all the time?
That would be, you need to train at least one person. It depends on how much volume you've got going, but one or two people that are really well trained on the safety of using the product is important. And like when we hire anybody here, we have a list of what we go through for safety, and we check it off as we go, and then they sign to say, yes, I listened to you, I understand, and then they have some personal accountability to make certain that they're very safe because they've been trained. And I find that a lot of customers that do that have better success than any kind of loose training. They make it a little bit more stringent and formalized, and that helps.
I agree. And I think that's, it's a way as a business owner to protect your business is to really pay attention to the safety and the OSHA standards, because it's there for a reason, to protect your business.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, okay. So let's, as we're wrapping up, talk about the specials that are on your website or navigating your website. What's the best way to order or, this product, whether it's the starter kit or just a reorder? What's the best way to contact you guys?
The best way to do that is to send an email or call. You can send an email to office@bencosales.com, or you can call our main number, which is on the site, which is 931-484-9578. And we have customer service people here that answer the phones, and they will help you as much as they possibly can get you exactly what you want. If you have more questions, then I typically get the calls and I can answer any question. I did recently hire a national salesperson, and he's learning things very quickly. And so he would be another contact that we could put you in contact with, but you will be taken care of. It's not just, punching something on the internet and saying, send this to me. We like to help because, of course, there are many times when people call and say, I have something that's way too big to submerge in my tank. Well, we have a semi-paste version of B17. And so we it's our B15. And then we explain how to use that, the best practices, how to clean it up and all of that. And it's the question and answers gives you much more information than just ordering off the internet.
Well, that's good. And I like the fact that you actually put up regularly when the trucks are leaving, because it helps me time my order, right?
Yes.
So you guys generally keep that well up to date, or you'll post it on social media. I believe you have an Instagram, correct?
Yes, we have an Instagram and a Facebook, and the office manager does a great job of posting that whenever there's a change in shipping or we schedule out the next couple months. She always posts it so people can plan ahead.
Yeah, and I think I've even had conversations with her direct message on Instagram. So she, a lot of custom coders, they're just looking for that instant communication or connection. And I don't know, I haven't been messaging her recently, but I know that I have asked her, and that's when I found out about the two different kinds of gloves was through a direct messaging on Instagram. But yes, you guys are really responsive with the emails and getting back to us and stuff like that. So I'm so happy to have you on the show to really clarify what your product does, how to use it, how to protect yourself. And I really appreciate you guys coming on to talk about it because so many custom coders need this product today. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Awesome. And you're having that special, I guess the starter kit should be up on the website tomorrow. Is that what you said?
It should be. I asked my web guy to put it back up for tomorrow, and we'll probably run that special till Thanksgiving. Give people plenty of time.
Yeah. And tell us about it one more time.
The special is there's 2 starter kits available. One is the B17 starter kit, which gives you the big yellow overpack drum, which holds, it's a 95 gallon, so you won't have to fill it very high, of course. And it gives you a drum of B17. You get an apron, you get heavy duty gloves, you get a siphon pump, you get the burn cream, and a face shield, and that's $9.99. That does not include tax or shipping. The starter kit for the Eco Strip includes a metal drum with a drum heater for your heating. It includes a poly drum full of our Eco Strip chemical. You also get an apron and gloves and a face shield and the siphon pump, and that's $16.99 without tax or shipping.
Right. And you're paying a lot. You're paying just a little bit more for that, but you're saving your skin. And I'm kind of interested in trying this Eco Strip now. I think we'll try to order that on, a couple of, it comes in a 5 gallon, or does it only come in the drum?
It only comes in drums. It doesn't make sense to do it in 5 gallons, but you give me a call and let me know. I mean, if we've got a customer that says it only works if we can do it in this kind of a quantity or this kind of a size, there many times that we can help you out. So it's just ask the question and we'll figure it out. But typically it's just a 55 gallon drum.
I'm thinking of all the Yeti mug people, the people that do Yeti mugs or smaller, just really small stuff, that could really.
Well, you're right. You're right. They can. That's something new that I didn't think about. And that you could just use a big crock pot to heat it.
Right. Right.
You're not talking about a huge investment. To get started.
Yeah. I think that, I think that's, you never know who's listening to the show, Valerie. You're going to get some customers. Well, thanks again for joining us today. And if you also we'd like to thank our supportive followers and fellow powder coaters out there. I hope you've learned something new about your powder coating business. Please comment, share, follow, and like the podcast. If you have a topic you'd like to discuss, email us at info@mauipowderworks.com.